928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. And from our studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, Mr. David Williams. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 15th day of September, 2015. Let's take a quick look at the numbers. Cash markets, S&P 500 is up 16 points. The Dow Jones Industrials are up 155 points. NASDAQ up 35, and the Russell 2000 up 6.5. Crude oil up 74 cents a barrel, 44.74. And gold trading 1103.40, down $4.30 on the day. Asian markets mixed. Nikkei up 60, Shanghai down 110, Hang Seng down 106. On the Shanghai, rough numbers yesterday. Again today, we're down just today 110 points. We're down 3.5%. European markets, the DAX is up 56 points. FTSE is up 53. And the CAC 40 is up 51, which is just over 1%. So those are the numbers. Happy Tuesday to you, wherever you are. whoever you are. Thanks for coming back once again. For those of you that are here for the first time, welcome. A special welcome to you. Make yourself at home. If you need anything, just ask. How do you ask? You can call in, as always, 866-928-3310, or there's a chat box right inside the room here. Type it in. Your wish is our command. True story. Now, if you can't see the chart I have up, or the chat box of which I speak, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right hand side of the page, big microphone, click that. Follow the instructions, and you'll be registered all the way through the end of the month. October 1, we all do it again. If you do it on the first day of the month, you're trading 30 seconds for 30 days. And that's a pretty good deal. All right. The Fed is close to repeating the biggest mistake of the Great Depression. Now, what do you think that could be? We have a Fed meeting on Thursday. I confirmed with Garrett yesterday that we all know it's a 2-day affair, but I remembered it as always being Tuesday, Wednesday. Mike Reed said he thought it's possible that at some point in time it was Wednesday, Thursday. Garrett remembered it as a Tuesday, Wednesday affair. And so, why is it Thursday? There's probably no conspiracy involved whatsoever. It's, somebody had to go to the dentist or something. Federal Reserve meets on Thursday to make one of the most important decisions since the financial crisis, whether to finally raise interest rates after 6 years at practically zero. Now, partners, in your email that you received with your trading zones on Monday morning and all of the links, password, etc., I said we would announce when the partners meeting would be this week, because tomorrow night, Wednesday night, is the presidential debate. And let's see, it was on Fox last time, and it'll be on CNN, I believe is the way it goes, tomorrow night. And one of our partners emailed in and said, is it possible that we could do this thing on a night other than Wednesday, because I'm sure many of the partners would like to see this live and in real time. And us, Michael and I, party of two, our party of four with Bert and Leslie, ever willing to accommodate the partners to the best of our ability, have in fact ruled from on high. A proclamation has gone out through all the land that indeed we will hold the partners meeting on Thursday. Put it in the permanent record. Okay, now I'm quoting an article. It says, I wrote a few weeks ago, I thought the Fed was at a risk of making or repeating a mistake it made in the Great Depression. In 1937, U.S. economic policy makers started tightening, inadvertently starting another recession. Too quick out of the gate. A few respondents, including George Pirks of Bespoke Investment, noted that the scale of tightening undertaken in 1936 and 37, when reserve requirements for banks were doubled, was considerably larger than what is being proposed today, a 0.25% increase in the Fed funds rate. They're certainly right on that front, but I still think the 1937 tightening is a good example of how the Fed could run into problems this time around. Simply put, raising rates now will risk quashing inflation and growth for a longer period than is worth it. Interestingly, there are several several academics who cast doubt on whether the tightening in reserve requirements actually had much of a knock-on effect in bank lending. This was the hypotheses of Milton Friedman and Anna Schwartz in A Monetary History of the United States, a book that had a colossal influence in views of the Depression. Other economists have blamed the Treasury, which began aiming to balance the budget. Shame on them. Others blame the sterilization of gold flows, a policy the Federal Reserve used to try to prevent inflationary pressure. But two economists, Egerton and Pugsley, you know who they are, right? Have what I think is the most interesting analysis for the 37 shock. In short, it doesn't matter so much which of the policies is the proximate cause of the recession. What matters is how high the public and financial markets come to believe the central bank's tolerance for inflation is, how much price pressure it's willing to put up with. Now, this article gets into some really deep stuff, certainly above my pay grade. But you can Google it up. The Fed close to repeating the biggest mistake of the Great Depression. We're going to know something Thursday. Now, I mean, you can look at it from so many different directions. If they raise rates, then the markets will throw a little temper tantrum, and we'll go down for a day or two or a week and then bounce back. Because in raising rates, although that's not what the markets want, and I read a whole list of people the other day, and I had a new list yesterday of people who are saying, no, now's not the time. Well, it's got to be sometime. So by actually raising 0.25%, which isn't very much, there's a signal being sent that we think the economy is actually getting stronger and is actually recovering. The opposite of that is they don't raise rates. The markets party, have a little rally, and then over a day or two or a week perhaps, it starts to sink in. Wow, the economy is so bad in the eyes of the powers that be, they couldn't even raise interest rates 0.25%. So what are you going to do? Maybe we'll see the answer to the bigger problem that America faces tomorrow night on the CNN stage. Hopefully Donald can hold it together, and I mean that's his shtick now, to shock and alarm people, but that's only going to go so far. If he doesn't start to act and behave like a man who could be president, he won't be president. Period. No one, and he has it within him, I hope, to control what comes out of his mouth. He's a pretty smart guy. He didn't get to where he is now just on luck. There was an element of luck involved, and he'll admit that. But it wasn't pure luck. And even if luck gets you there, it won't keep you there. Okay? So he can present a different image of who he really is. Now, have we seen who he really is? Maybe we have. Maybe that is the real Donald Trump. The one who cares only about Donald, doesn't care about other people, not too crazy about women, except, as friends with benefits. I don't know. Who is Donald Trump? Maybe we find out a little more tomorrow night. Maybe we see more of the same. And maybe someone else starts to shine. We see a light, a little glow around somebody that could actually beat him in the polls. Right now, I don't think any one of them could beat him if the election were held tomorrow, before the debate. I don't think any one of them could come close. A lot of folks might just stay home, but that's no good. I mean, we need people to vote. Do we not? Huh. Alright, here's what we're going to do today. Michael's going to come in, and he is going to give us a recap of everything that happened in the live trading room. I'll be back with our good word for the day and also some of the Concierge Trade Alerts from last night. We'll talk to David from Page Trader for his forecast from the edge and his commentary on world events. Jonathan won't be with us today. Yesterday I didn't think Garrett would be with us, and he surprised me and popped in anyway. Jonathan is going to be out today. I don't think he's going to pop in, so David and I will wrap it up together. This is the S&P 500 Emini Futures. We are looking at last week's zones for the September contract, and it's rather interesting how those zones have played into this week. Now, we've been at this area right here for we're in our third hour of bumping up against this. Now, if we break through here, if we get through this area and take out this high, and we've got about a 20-point run before we run into anything significant. Okay, but prepare for the potential head fake, and that's where the market makes it look like it's really going to do the deal to the upside, and then it fails, and there's a beautiful trade on the way back down. So keep an eye out for that. We're not going to take action on this candle, on this hourly candle, but we will perhaps have a trade on the next candle. Now, the trade we gave out at the end of the show yesterday was to be long above 49 or short below 35. In fact, that was so good, I used it as the Concierge Trade Alert last night. We did trigger at 49, and on the first move up, we put in a high at 52. So it was a 3-point move. Price then got back below the trigger at 49, and off she went, and this time we put in a swing high at 61. So a 12-point move. So we had a 3-point move, reset below the trigger, away we go, 12 points. So all in all, a great trade for the S&P. Hope you had an opportunity to participate in at least enough of that to get your points for the day for your 24-20 blue pen trade. So if Michael is ready, we'll go to him now. There you are. He's ready. Okay. So how are you today?
I'm all right. Had a long, drawn-out morning, as you'll see. A few minutes here. But got our goal.
Was it long?
Well, it took us 115 minutes. Our last trade was the one that got us to the goal.
Wow, that was a rough day.
Yeah, it was.
But that's the truth about trading.
It is definitely the truth about trading.
There will be rough days. There will be days when you get it all at once. And there'll be days when it takes all of 2 hours.
Yes indeed.
All right, buddy. Well, you grab the screens, and I'll hit mute over here.
Okay.
And we'll get this show on the road.
Got him coming. Alright. Here we go. You guys should be looking at my screen now. Alright, so I gotta go over here and hit start recording. Alright, good afternoon, everyone. today is Tuesday, the 15th day of September 2015. Let's see. Today, we made 6 ticks profit on the Russell, 6 ticks profit on crude, we lost 6 on gold, and we made 4 on the euro, giving us a whopping $110 a contract today. It took us 115 minutes and 21 trades to get there. When we closed out that last trade, we were at $110 a contract. Took a total of 21 trades today. On the month, we are now up $2,590 per contract. That's over 10 trading days, averaging $259 a day gross. If you apply an $8 commission to every trade we've taken, you would be up $1,126 a contract. If you apply a $5 commission to every trade we've taken, you would be up $1,675 a contract. Okay. Our total on the year now, $44,325 a contract. That's 171 trading days, averages out to $259 a day. Okay, that is where we stand. Yeah, I am blaming the Fed, John. I'm totally blaming the Fed. There was so little follow through today. That and the fact that I started out with a loss on soybeans is what I started out with. Anyway, we'll get into it. I was close a couple of times and then I ended up giving it back. All right, so to get to our free trial, you just need to go to CFRN.net. In the right-hand column where it says register for a free trial, put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Click on the confirmation link and you will get a free trial. Okay. To get to the spreadsheet, again, you just go here, the homepage at CFRN.net, where it says view live trading room results. Click there, and then right over here, click one more time, and you can get right to our spreadsheet. This is available for everyone. Okay, everyone can see this. Yeah, let me back up a little here. Okay, so let's look at trades. All right, the ES was zone to zone to zone and stuck in a zone today. We showed one trade on the ES. It was right here when it broke out of this weekly trading zone, and it eventually went all the way up to that zone and then just got jammed in there the rest of the morning. And that was it on the ES. You can see it's just flattened right out. I imagine there's going to be more of that coming tomorrow. Okay, so I had recommended to everybody in the room today, the markets were really choppy, and wait till the European markets close. You should probably be able to get some good trades in probably half hour to an hour after the European markets close, which would be 11:30 to 12 or 12:30. On gold, though, my first trade right here on gold, I stopped out on -8 ticks, and my next trade was way over here. I missed this one for some reason. I don't know why I missed that, but I did. I got this one here, and I got 2 ticks profit on that, putting us at -6 on gold. During the break, actually, that didn't put in a lower swing. That's why I didn't take that. Gold flattened out here during the break. It usually does. It's only gotten 5 bars since the break, so that's it. The Russell, let's see. On the Russell, we had a few trades here today. Okay. Our first trade on the Russell was right here. It was a break even. The next trade we took on the Russell was right in here. We got 8 ticks profit on that. Next trade was right over here. We got 2 ticks profit on that one. And a break even there. Then I messed up on this trade right here, and I lost 3 ticks, putting us down to +7. We were at +10 after getting 2 here. This put us down to +7. Then I stopped out here, putting us at -1. And I got 4 ticks profit, putting us at +3. And 3 ticks profit, putting us at +6. And that was where we ended it with the Russell. Now, during the break, the Russell did move down nicely, but it didn't give a trade setup on the short side. It did give a long trade right in here. All right, and that was it. That was all she wrote. Okay. Crude oil. Let's look at the crude. All right, crude oil started out right over here. No trades in here, okay? All the way through here, there were no trades until I took this one right here. We had a break even on that trade, break even on that trade. I made 8 ticks profit on this. Then I gave back the 8 ticks here. I stopped out, gave it back. And then I made 6 ticks profit on this one. Okay. Yeah, break even trade there. Let's see, during the break, crude gave a long trade right here. And it didn't put in a higher swing, so we weren't going to do anything else with it. And it gave a short trade right here. So it gave one long trade, clear entry right there off the BBC, and one short trade right there off the BBC. Okay, so for crude oil, we were +6 in the morning. Soybeans. On the soybeans, our first trade here on the beans, we stopped out -8 ticks. Oops, wait. Yeah, that's right, this was yesterday. On the first trade here on the beans, we stopped out -8 ticks. Then we made 4 here and 4 there. And that was all we had on the soybeans. I saw the email, John. I'll have to go take another look at it. I saw it last night, in the middle of the night. Okay. You think the crude is going to the 49.50 area unless it doesn't. Yeah, if it doesn't go to the 49.50 area, I bet it's gonna go somewhere else. The euro. We had a few trades here on the euro. We had a break-even trade there. Missed a nice trade there, break-even trade there, and this is where we got our goal for the day. We took 4 ticks profit on this one right here, and it just pounded away forever before it filled me at that 4 ticks. Again, there was nothing you could do here during the break because the cycle was going up. It's just the way it is. All right, and that is that. So let me bring up my spreadsheet or whatever this is. Okay, this is the home page. To take our free trial, well, then maybe it was this morning I saw it. Anyway, to take our free trial, you click on home. You go to our home page, and in the right-hand column where it says register for a free trial, just put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay, you must click on that confirmation link. If you don't click the confirmation link, you don't get a free trial. Simple as that. All right. Yes, to view our spreadsheet, our results going back to January 2nd of 2013, you just need to click right here, View Live Trading Room Results. Then right here to view our daily results spreadsheet from today back to January 2nd. Click there, and bang, there it is. Up it pops. And you guys can view it. I get to change it, but you guys can view it. Yeah, so 15 September. That's today. We made 6 on the Russell, 6 on crude, gave 6 back on gold, and we made 4 on the euro. All right, on the month we are now up $2,590 a contract. That's in 10 trading days, averaging $259 a day. On the year, we're up $44,325. That's over 171 trading days, averaging $259 a day. Hey, look at that. We're exactly, well, $259.21 is what this is, but same dollar amount, $259. We're maintaining our yearly average right now. Last month we killed it. We had $342 average last month. I think that was our high of the year too, wasn't it? Last month, 7,200. It was. Now, if you go back to prior years, it seems like the later months of the year is when we get the bigger gains. You know, last year, October, we made $12,000. December, $10,000. November, $7,400. That's good gains in the latter part of the year, the last quarter. Okay, I think there's just more volatility because all the stuff, the holidays coming and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's it, guys. With that, I am going to stop the recording, and we can send it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. If Phoenix is ready. I don't know.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Mm. My goodness. It was a interesting day. I want to remind everybody who might be in here who was on the free trial. I will be doing a meeting in 45 minutes. I'll be doing a meeting showing you all the trade setups. Okay. I am going to put that link in here now. Hold on, here it is. Here. Get rid of that. Oops. Alright. Dwayne is taking the charts.
Yeah, that shouldn't affect you on the chat box, should it?
No, I just went over the thing I was using. That's all. No big deal. Trial members meeting Eastern Daylight Time. Okay, here is the text and everything you need to get into that meeting. Alright. So, please do attend if you're on the trial. Try to get into that meeting, okay? And you'll see all the trade setups, not just the ones I do in the live trading room. Okay? That's that.
Okay, I got my charts back. Hey, have you ever looked at this chart here? The 3 lines over 1 minute break.
Yeah, the three line break charts.
What is the trigger on that? Because I watched it a little bit this morning, and it was jumping up and down. Now that was when I put on a sim trade just to see how it triggered. See that little line right there? It moves inside of that little box, and I'm trying to figure out what 3 lines they're referring to, because obviously these are not all the same size. And look at the times, like this big candle here, okay, started at 8:33, and then this one's at 8:56. This one's at
the theory behind it that years and years ago, now this was before my first website, if you were to look at that big candle right there, that big green candle, and that big green candle covers the prior 3 bars length, then that's a signal to go long. Like this last one, that was 3 bars ago at the end of the chart, at the right of the chart, covered the prior 3 bars. So you would go long on the close of that bar, or the open of the next bar. You see, that was the theory with it.
Well, what about these smaller ones?
Well, you're still in the trade.
Well, okay, so you're waiting for a big bar? Is that?
Yep.
Okay, well this is a medium-sized bar.
Yeah, but that doesn't count, because you got to be going red to green. Okay, when you stay green all the way up, you're staying in. You get that big red bar down up there at the top. Did that cover the prior 3 bars?
1, 2,
no, it
3.
Didn't.
Oh, it almost did. Well, no, it didn't.
Well, if you include that one at the top, then it did, and then you would go short right there, and you would stay short until you got a big bar going the other way.
Yeah.
And then you would go long right there.
Well, that would be a painful drawdown, but we wouldn't. Yeah, we wouldn't want to do, because we know we've got potential support right here.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're above the BBC, go long. Look for long opportunities. When you're below the BBC, look for short opportunities. Simple as that.
Yeah. So a perfect entry here would have been like right there.
Yeah.
In the world of perfect entries. Now, that run up took from 9:56 or 9. Yeah. Well, the signal would have been 9:55 a.m. Eastern up to 10:46. So that's an hour-long trade.
Yeah. Now the thing that you don't see in hindsight with this, like right now, you see how it's painting a red bar right there?
Mm-hmm.
It's drawing down a little bit.
Yeah, it'll go. It can go green here in a minute.
Yeah. If that goes up, you're not going to see the drawdown part of it.
Yep. It'll vanish as if it were never there.
Yep.
And so some of these could have drawn way down. Some of these could have been red, only to end up finishing green.
Correct.
And so there's no maximum amount that this big bar, as we called it, could be. Well, it covers the last 3 bars, so whatever those are. So, okay. I was just curious, because I was looking to see what other oddball things we had in there, and there's the momentum.
Yeah.
That one looks a little sketchy too, the way it jumps around. Have you ever watched that one?
Yeah. Yep. That one, the momentum bar on this works like the range bar on Ninja if you don't use the gap thing, the no gap.
Yeah. It would show
put gaps
movement
in between all the bars.
Right. Exactly. That would be very difficult to wrap your brain around. So anyway,
Yes, indeed.
I just had some time to kill, and so I was looking to see.
The 3-line break thing.
Oh, and then I went 3 lines
that's
over
relatively new.
over 4 ticks. I went with that, and it looked like that. In fact, an entire trading day. No. Wait. Yeah. This is. What is this? Okay, this is September 15th at. Oh, yeah, that was the odd thing about this one, is it doesn't seem to start calculating until like 11 o'clock in the morning. Oh, it doesn't. Here's what it doesn't recognize. No. I had thought originally it didn't recognize Globex, that it only recognized. See the time of the last bar? It's like 5 o'clock. That's when the markets close, and the new session begins at 6 p.m. Eastern, not 11:44. But on every day you'll see that one take that jump. So I'm sure some of you guys are probably familiar with this. It's not. I'm not not looking to switch to anything. I was just curious.
Yeah, that's been around for a long time. You know, it hasn't been in DT Pro all that long.
Yeah, but it's called something else somewhere else. Wasabi or Kinsaji or anyway.
I don't know.
Who knows?
There's the Heike bars too, or whatever they are.
Heike Ashen.
Heike Ashen.
Yeah.
Remember we looked at those a long time ago.
Yeah.
And those are kind of strange too, because you don't know where they're going to close. You know, when the bar is done, you don't know what it looks like.
Of the 4-tick range is you actually know where the bar is going to close based upon once it puts in a high or a low, and that high or low is always subject to change, but once it puts in a high and starts to head in the other direction, if it doesn't take out the current high of the candle, then you know exactly where it's going to close and exactly where the next candle is going to open, so you can have your DOM ready, you can have your trade on, you can be ready to make beautiful music. Alright, buddy. Well, thanks.
Alright,
guys. It is time for our good word for the day. And we'll look at some of the Concierge Trade Alerts from last night. And then we'll talk to David from Page Trader. Psalm 23:3. We've all heard the 23rd Psalm. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Oh, by the way, if you're still there, we did agree on Thursday night, right? He's already gone. Okay. On the phone. David said, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul." Psalm 23, 1 through 3. Today, car engines are computerized. A light on your dashboard will let you know something's wrong and that it's time for a checkup. Your soul will do that too, but you've got to pay attention to the signals. Don't wait until you have a spiritual, moral, emotional, or relational breakdown before you stop and pay attention. When your soul's thirst is not quenched and its needs are not met, it will seek relief some other way, often a way that will hurt you. You must know when to say when. Most of us don't take breaks that enable us to restore our souls. We're ensnared by guilt, as if stopping would somehow be irresponsible, or we fear losing ground because we took a minute for ourselves. One of the hardest things in life to achieve is not success, but actually a sense of balance. So in all your goal setting and your go-getting, don't forget your soul. You have to practice soul care. Remember in Psalm 23 it says, "He restores my soul." Even God rested. Genesis 2:2. "And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done." And if he did, then you need to also. The power of rest is that it allows you to enjoy the journey of life and not just the destination. Indeed, if you don't learn to walk in the park by choice, you could end up in the hospital by necessity. When God makes you lie down in green pastures, enjoy them. When he leads you beside the still waters, it's to refresh and restore you. Now, in that scripture, God didn't say, "Hey guys, why don't we take a break here?" It said, when God makes you lie down in green pastures. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul." Do you know why the water is still? Guys, hang on for me 1 second. I apologize. Sheep will not drink from moving water. You can't take them to a stream or a river or a creek. You got to find some still water. That's just a little side benefit for you. Sheep need still water to drink from, otherwise they get freaked out. We talked about this before. Sheep are not the smartest animal on the planet. They're a little bit dirty. And they can't really take care of themselves very well. If they fall down, they can't get back up. They need help. Kind of like us. Ragamuffins. When God makes you lie down in green pastures, enjoy them. When He leads you beside the still water, it's to refresh and restore you. So practice soul care. You get it? That's our good word for the day. All right. Let me see what's hanging out in the chat box over here. I haven't had a chance to look. Oh, there's a good answer. John B. said that the reason the Fed meeting got moved, he thinks, is because of Rosh Hashanah, if I said that even close, on the 14th and the 15th. No conspiracy there. Got it. Okay, well that makes perfect sense. John says, I believe crude's going to 49 to 50 area, unless it doesn't. Okay. I did answer your question yesterday, John, and I got your email that said you listened to the end of the show. Okay. Okay, I'm scrolling down to see if there's any questions that need to be answered. Okay, I think we covered them all. All right. This is the S&P 500 Emini Futures. These are last week's zones, so we can just get rid of them for now. We've had our fun with those. Yesterday, closing out the show, we said consider being long above 1949. We also said consider being short below 1935. The swing low was 35 and a quarter, right? Yes, 1935 and a quarter. So we did not get triggered in on the down move. We came close. Everybody was on the ready, right? But the key area was right here. Now if we look left, we can see that the last time price tried to rally up out of here. Okay, now we managed it here, right? But then when we see we had, let me show you. We had a leg and a retrace and a leg and a tiny retracement, hardly, and then a leg and then a retracement, and it's right about here we should have put in the next leg, but instead we put in a deeper retracement and we didn't put in a leg, and so now we're building legs in the other direction. Leg, retrace, leg, retrace, leg, and then we level out here. Okay, so now right there, and I pointed this out yesterday for those of you that were tuned in. I said that's a potential area for trouble. If we get long at 49, it still gives us room. If the market runs into trouble here, it still gives us room to get our 2 points for the day. And so what did it do? It ran up to 52. So from 49 to 52, that's 3 points. But did it stop it? It did. It's not broken. Okay, so it sends it back down, regroup. Now when it was sent back down, okay, what sent it back up? Well, the last time price was in this area, what did it do? Leg, retrace, leg, trace, leg. See? And so the last time buyers had an opportunity to purchase at this price, at this price, there was good buying support in those areas. Do you see? Price comes down to touch this. Now, it did struggle here on the upside. But we got through there in the important area. That was our concern. Turned us down, we regroup, we tear into it again, and a nice, I guess, 12-point run, 11.61 and a quarter. Is that the high? Yeah. So let's call it 10 points. If you got your 2 points for the day, if you're trading the 2420 blueprint, you got your 2 points for the day. You did good. That's a great day. Don't ever cry over what you didn't get and what you left on the table and how you should do more. That will all come in time as your skill level increases, as your ability to read the markets unfolds. It'll come. All right? Just give it a little time. Okay? Patient with yourself. Don't rush things. Trade small. Take it easy. All right, so that's the S&P. Let's look at bonds. 30-year bonds. The alert last night was to consider being long above 55.20 or short below 54.09. As always, we have an opinion as to where we think price is headed. But sometimes we're wrong. And so that's why we always give you our very best long trade and our very best short trade. And our best short trade last night, our best long trade wasn't triggered. Our short trade was 154.09, and we just put in a low at 153.05. Now, if you manage to hold on to that trade all the way down to 153.09, which would be 32 ticks, that's $1,000 per contract from right there to right there. Okay. Now, rare is the trader who possesses the skill to do that. Okay. If you got your 4 ticks, you got your $100 per contract per day, and you were done, again, don't fret over what was left on the table. It's not important. As long as you got up, had a goal, reached your goal, that's a great day. Any day you wake up with a goal and reach your goal, great day. Okay? And on the days you don't reach your goal, guess what? That's why God made tomorrow. So, potentially $1,000 plus trade, but certainly enough to give you your 4 ticks for the day. Next, crude oil. Okay. Now, John, your question was, could crude go to $49 or $50? And certainly it can. I mean, it's been there before. It's just such a long haul. I mean, we're at 45. We did put in a high at 45 today. Our alert last night was to be long above 44.45, which is right there. And so on this first move up, we got to 58. So that's 13 ticks. From 45 to 58 is 13 ticks. We need 10 to be done for the day. This little guy right here got you involved in a stop out because it only ran up. It ran 2 ticks over the line. Now, if you're using your CFRN indicators to confirm the trade, that's a whole nother story. Okay. In fact, I should probably tomorrow show you the concierge alerts with the indicators layered on the way I used to do, because some of you who are new to the audience may not have even seen that. Okay, and how it enhances the potential and possibilities to actually reach your goal for the day before you even get to the alert. It's on the way to the alert that you can pick the points up. And so we have put in a swing high up at 45.03. So that's roughly a $500 per contract move. Again, if you're that smooth operator who can go from here to here and hang on to the trade. Okay? I know there's guys out there that can do it all the time, right? I'm not that guy. S&P, we already did. Oh, that's the old contract. I better change that or it's going to get me in trouble. Because I'm going to bring it up one day and use it for something and be in the wrong month. So, there. Alright. Soybeans. Okay, the alerts went out at 8:30, so I'm going to call it 2100 hours. Which would be right there. Okay. And then on soybeans, we said to consider being long above 890. We had only a 4-cent spread last night. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Long above 890. Right there. And then short below 886. So you had a chance to grab it on both sides. So we can get a line going here at 886. Right there. So 886 took us down to a swing low of 883. So that's 3 cents. You need 2 cents to be done for the day. Okay? That gives you your $100 per contract per day as written in the 2420 blueprint. So you had a chance here and you had a chance here. 3 cents on the short side, and on the long side we hit 8.94. So 4.5 cents up here, 3 cents if you missed it down here. Okay. And we got one more minute. Head to Vegas. Let's see. We've already looked at bonds. The Dow. How did the Dow do? Okay. Word was to be long above 16,320. So that's going to go right about here. $16,320. Okay. Now this first hourly candle spiked up through it and hit 16,3. This first little candle right there looks like nothing, right? That's 16,340. That's exactly 20 points from the entry to the swing high of that candle is 20 points. That's all you need. 20 times $5 per point is $100 per point. Okay? Or $100 per contract. Now the second candle, because prices, what do? Yep. They come back, they test these important areas, and in the second hour, got all the way up to 16,437. So from 320 to 437, that's 117 points. So that's roughly a $500 per contract move. Now, this wouldn't have been so terribly difficult to hold on to if you're in the trade, because it just kind of, it did the back and forth, but it worked itself up in a straight line. And then we've had the last 3 hours here where we're up against some, are we at, yeah, we're just above. We're just above. Weekly zones are really, current weekly zones are what's happening on the Dow and the YM right now. Okay, got to go to Vegas. We'll talk about the Russell. What else have we not looked at? We'll still look at the Euro and the Russell. Pretty confident things went well in the Russell. Long above 1153, and we hit a high of 58. So that's 50 ticks. We only need 10. So we're A-OK in that regard. So let's go to Vegas. Talk to David from pagetrader.com. Gotta do a brief station identification, so don't touch your radio dial. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310.
We don't need you now, we on the way. I thank the Lord for love like ours that grows ever stronger. And I always will be true. I know you feel that same way too. Oh, I love you, Lord.
Morning, Dwayne.
Hey, good morning, David. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here. I hope everyone's having a really bad morning. No, I hope everyone's having a great morning. It's really quiet in most markets. I think most people realize that the markets are probably waiting for the Fed interest rate announcement on Thursday. If they raise rates, that'll be the first time in 9 years that we've had an increase in the interest rate. So patience pays off, because once they do that, we're going to have volatility that is going to take us well into the remainder of this month off of that interest rate announcement, whether they do raise them or whether they don't. Also, Dwayne, I have Chris Olson.
You wanted me to. I'm sorry. You wanted me to send him a link.
Yeah, if you would send him a link, he's going to. Yeah. So I've got him on the other line here, and if you'll send him a link to that email address, he'll come on. Chris is he's the attorney whose his card says, "When you're in a gurney, you need an attorney." But he does a number of different kinds of legal work, and I wanted him to come on today just for a few minutes. I think it's important. He has got a couple things I think would be important. There may be some questions from a few people. We'll spend 10 minutes, and you may get some information that could really help somebody that's in a particular situation of some kind. So if you let me know when you've sent that, I'll let him know to go.
Hang on, I gotta find him.
While he's doing that, we can also say that the S&P, which has made some movement today, obviously is trading in a much more quiet fashion. And this, even though we've had a decent move up here, this is low volatility for the S&P. This is not the normal volatility that we've seen. And there are still some opportunities intraday for the S&P. I think we probably have a trend day up underway right now in the S&P. Even though it's really quiet, I think we probably have a trend day up in the S&P today. So,
okay, the email has been launched.
Okay, he sent the email, Chris. I've got Chris on the other phone. Chris, you there? Okay, so then he's looking for it right now.
It's not as instantaneous as they would have you believe.
Yeah. Yes, he did. That's what I gave him.
Yeah, it auto-populated once I forgot about how he did it. I was looking for his name, so then I just looked at your message and sent that. And it auto-populated, so I know it's right.
If for whatever reason he doesn't get that email, is there a phone number that you can...
It's probably got to go through the NSA for servers, first to make sure that...
Okay.
It's got to be there by now, Chris.
Yeah. It should, if you refresh, Chris, now, it should be there.
It depends upon how many agencies are watching you. I mean, sometimes it has to go through more than a couple of hands.
Yeah. Okay, he said he'll use the dial-in and the access code, or did you send him a... Is that good for you, Dwayne?
Well, the dial-in and access code, that's the email. But it's also got a link he can click. So
you can also click on a link there, Chris, and come in.
That email has
headset and all that we talked about if you want to.
It has a link, and it also has a phone number. The problem is, Chris, if you dial in on that phone number,
Okay.
it's hard for me to find you. So if you want to call in, if that's preferable,
I think he is going to call in, Dwayne.
then,
Yeah.
then call this number, 866
So I'm going to give you the number, Chris. 866
928
928
3310.
3310.
Yep, and then ask Bert or Leslie, whoever
And then
answers the phone,
ask Bert or Leslie to patch you through to
you
Dwayne.
through to the show.
Uh,
Please.
Yeah, he says he has trouble with that, though. I'm talking to Chris right now, that he has trouble finding you for some reason when you call in on that number.
Yeah, because when you call in, it doesn't identify, because he hasn't input a name or anything, and because that's not, that's just a generic link to join the show.
Yeah, do the other one through Bert, see if you can get that done.
How do you normally do it, Chris?
Well, he's asking, how did you normally do it? Well, I don't think he remembers exactly last time how he did it.
If you just click the link, bing, you'd be in like Flynn. And it'll ask you your name, and then I'll look, and it'll say Chris Olson.
He says if you do click that link, if your headset works, Chris, just use the link. You'll be fine. If you're using your headset.
You always sound good.
Yeah. Okay, okay. All right, so he doesn't have a headset, so he's going to go through. Hopefully.
Yeah, call Bert. Bert will help you out.
Bert will help you out, Chris, and then I'll stay on here with you. So anyway, so there you are, Dwayne. I think just to get right into the S&P, if you want, I think we probably have, at least we have the early indications as far as we're concerned for a trend day up in the S&P. Even though it's very quiet, the nature of today's movement would imply that higher prices are coming, and with the usual minor pullbacks and so on. But this is a pretty important thing that they've done today, even though it is very low volatility. It seems like we may have started a somewhat important trend here that could lead to much higher prices. For the time being, because of the nature of the way that support and resistance works, we're up against resistance now. So it isn't the ideal time. If you didn't get in earlier, it isn't the ideal time to get in right now. But ultimately, we think we're going to be seeing higher prices. So that's what we're...
How much higher? Yeah,
well,
we did give out this high over here.
I'm sorry?
This high up on my screen right here at...
actually, our forecast of if we're going to be correct, our forecast actually goes beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah. So most of our forecasts don't target, as you've seen so many times, I've pointed out, like here's an old high or an old low in the market. We're forecasting beyond that price, but there's nothing wrong with using an old high or old low if you know that have some reason to believe that that is what the market is going to do. But in terms of just a level, the kind of movement that we could have would take us well beyond that from here. Now, this is a quiet day. It's we're probably in a sleepy market until possibly Thursday. So it's definitely going to be a slower week in the number of indications that we have, that we all get. Some of the other markets are moving a little bit, but it seems like a lot of markets are pretty quiet today. Not a lot of big movement. Depends on what you can, if you're looking for a very small move, then pretty much you'll be okay. But I think it's across the board we're seeing, if you're trading markets like lean hogs or something like that, that's different. But a lot of the regular markets we watch, Canadian dollar, the British pound, is having a decent down day. We would expect, by the way, the British pound to continue to go down to around 153.15 to 20. They've gotten down to 153.34. It's not a trade, so to speak, but we think it is going to still go lower into tomorrow. This is the December British pound.
Leslie, was that you I heard in the background? Or was that Chris? They're trying to patch you in now.
Dwayne, this is Chris.
Hey,
I'm
Chris.
in the conference call.
How are you, buddy? Welcome to
Good,
the show.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you.
Well, good, Chris. Well, Chris is, just for people to know, Chris has been my attorney for our business and actually other businesses in the past. He's been the attorney, and he's the one that writes our contracts and agreements and so on. And I wanted to have him on we have him on maybe once a year or something, but it sometimes helps people who may be going through some kind of an issue that has come up in their life that unfortunately involves legal procedure, the law, possibly courts, and have him come on and talk a little bit about, just for a few minutes here, about the beauty of mediation, which is when two disputing parties who are maybe for all intents and purposes already in court or maybe on their way to court, but in many cases a really good mediator can really and truly solve the problem, have everyone go away thinking, or feeling that, they got a fair deal, that it was resolved correctly, and it saves everybody time and money and especially, life energy that you would have to burn up on this. So I could go on and on about it because he's been very helpful to us over the years, keeping us out of trouble and dealing with any problems that come up. So Chris, thanks so much for coming on today. And you want to tell our audience a little bit about what mediation is and why that is such a good thing for people when they get into these problems and what you offer?
Absolutely, David. Thank you. Mediation is a way to take control of a dispute situation and resolve it in a way that you have input and control. And the great thing about that is that when you're in litigation, you've given up control over the outcome of the case. You've given it up to a lawyer, you've given it up to a judge, you've given it up to perhaps 12 people on a jury. And many people get very, very invested emotionally and ultimately financially in a dispute, and the more invested they get, the harder it is to break them off that track. And ultimately, even if they win, and most people, believe it or not, don't. Most people think they're going to, they think they have a winning case, they think it will all unfold the way they envision it, and they keep telling themselves that, and ultimately they're surprised when it doesn't. Mediation gives people an opportunity to not go down that road and still have some input and control over the way that the matter is resolved. And it produces finality, it cuts off expense, and bigger than anything, and this is what I think people really don't get, is it cuts off the emotional expense, the drain on your life energy that being in a lawsuit entails. And that's where I think people really miss something important at the beginning. They're mad, they feel taken advantage of by somebody, and maybe all that's true, but when they throw their own life energy after a problem, it's throwing good money after bad at the end of the day. And mediation is about giving people an opportunity not to do that, to kind of step back from the brink. And that's what I try to offer people in my capacity as a mediator.
Now,
so Chris, go ahead, Dwayne.
Well, I just want to say, is that a standard clause now in a lot of contracts when you get into some type of contractual agreement with someone? If a dispute arises, we will resolve this through mediation and not through an actual lawsuit in court. Is that becoming more common?
Well, that's a great question, Dwayne. And what is most common, or what is more common, I'll say, is what are called arbitration clauses in contracts that say if we get into a dispute, we will resolve it by binding arbitration before a retired judge or before some other arbitrator in this means. And then you go and do it that way. Arbitration, you're still putting the facts of the case before a guy that decides what the outcome is going to be. It's a judge, it's somebody sitting in the same chair as a judge who gets to make a decision on what you get and don't get. It's a much more streamlined way to do it than going through potentially years of court, and it does reduce the expenses somewhat, but it still puts the decision-making power in somebody else's hands. Sometimes contracts will say, if we get into a dispute, we have to go to mediation first and try to settle it, and if that doesn't work, then we'll go to arbitration. You do see those. Mm-hmm. The thing about mediation is everybody has to be willing to participate in it in good faith in order for it to work. So people can agree to go to mediation up front, but if one party's not really committed to reaching a resolution and ending it, they can just show up at the mediation and say, I don't care, I'm not going to settle no matter what. And mediation is, it's wasted in that situation. So what I try to get across to people is, don't be that person. Don't be the person that's so committed to how wonderful your case is that you lose sight of what's important in your life. You lose sight of having finality in a situation. So I don't know if that. Hopefully I answered your question, right?
So now, okay. So you then act in your capacity as an attorney. You act as the mediator.
Yes, I do. That's part of what my practice entails. Is I will act as a mediator for all the parties in the case. They will jointly agree to go to mediation and engage me as the mediator, and then I show up and find out what's going on and do my best to bring the people to a resolution. And often that involves really kind of giving them a reality check on what the real likely outcome is, what the potential likely outcomes are. And those are usually things that people haven't considered or they've forgotten about, because my case is great.
So your decision is not legally binding. It's just,
it is.
Correct.
Or is it?
Correct. Mediation, my decision is, I don't have a decision. I can propose things, but it's not legally binding. What I'm doing is I'm convincing people about the wisdom of voluntarily settling their case.
But isn't that voluntary settling itself the settled case? It isn't just still floating out there. They've made an agreement, and that is binding.
But if they agree, to what he offered, to what Chris offers, but if they don't like it, they can go, sue me, right?
Yeah, I thought you meant binding after the fact. When they agree, then there's a deal there. And the mediator's job, in many ways, is like what Chris said, is to bring reality to the situation, make people understand how much time, energy, and money there's going to be spent in getting to a resolution that may not even be as good as the one in many cases that the mediator himself has already offered. The mediator is actually, in a way, speeds the tape forward and shows you this is what's likely going to happen, or worse, in court. Why don't we agree on these things today and be done with this? And if both parties do agree, then that is a binding agreement at the end of the mediation. But it's not binding that they mediate, right, Chris?
Yeah, no, absolutely. If the parties agree to settle their case, that settlement is binding and it's final. And if there's a lawsuit that's ongoing, the lawsuit gets dismissed. If there isn't a lawsuit going, a lawsuit never gets filed. The settling parties are prohibited from filing it. And what they walk out with is a settlement agreement that gets performed in whatever way it gets performed. But the dispute itself is over.
Right. Listen, an attorney isn't a judge, and a mediator isn't actually a judge, but attorneys and mediators have done everything in court to become a mediator, and they already know the tools of the trade and how these cases are going to turn out. So in a way, like what Chris says, you end up with a lot of control in the case because you're talking directly to the quote-unquote judge, as opposed to through an attorney, through other people, through the bailiff, to the judge. And, you have the feeling that it's more in control, and the two parties have a tendency to they're all sitting in the same room in many cases, finalizing the case, as opposed to sitting across from each other in a courtroom where there's a judge and the feeling of a fight is always present. And so the mediator has a kind of he warms people up to the idea that what is going to happen in court may even be worse than what he can now generate right in front of them in 2 hours worth of work. Perhaps we could resolve this issue. So Chris, I just felt, because you've done that so many times in the past, you've done so many other things, and I know that we don't have enough time to go through all of the things that you offer. How do people contact you if they have a situation where mediation might actually solve a big problem for them? Give us your contact information and so on.
Sure. My website is www.chrisolsenlaw, that's CHRISOLSENLAW.com. And my contact information's on there. They can email me by going to that address.
ChrisOlsenlaw.com. ChrisOlsenlaw.com.
ChrisOlsenlaw.com.
Okay, I just put it in the chat box for everybody.
Yeah.
ChrisOlsenlaw.com.
All right, guys, we'll take another run at that. We'll put the E in there. What is it with you guys?
Yeah.
Misspell Olsen. What's up?
Yeah, that's just for the record, Chris was voted most likely to require total hip replacement in our high school yearbook. So I just want to lay that out.
So, Chris, did you go to the reunion with David here?
No.
Recently.
I actually did. I met him, and he was a year behind me. So I met him and a few other guys that went to our high school. And I gotta say, my God, these guys really look old. I was shocked.
That's what David said.
Yeah, it's like, this can't be the right room. There's a bunch of old people in here. Now, Mr. Williams, that's your reunion. All right, thank you.
Yeah, there's no way they're younger than me.
That's right.
So, yeah, but no, I did go to that, and it was great to see David in person. I don't get to see him in person that much, and also a couple other people I haven't seen in at least 30 years. So that was fun. But
my mom,
getting back to the mediation. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, my mom just went to her 50-something class reunion. I don't remember. It's in the 50s. So
wow.
David was wondering when he came back, at what point do they give up and stop doing it? Because I'm 50. I was born in 59, and she was 16 when I was born. Do the math. But they were legally married, so however many years that makes it. So it's 50.
Well, you're 56 then, or no? Do you have a birthday coming up?
Yes, I'm still 55. I'll have you know.
All right. All right.
I'm clinging to that double nickel. Yeah.
Yeah.
The room gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That's how the reunion thing goes.
Yeah, until finally it's a janitor closet at your 70th reunion. It's just there's
like two guys left, and you're just staring at each other. Or actually, probably two ladies.
It's time for me to stop when they get back to me and they say, "Chris, would you like to have it in your living room?"
Right.
So how's the hot sauce business?
Hot sauce is good. I'm still doing it. I haven't started to make a big retail push with it yet, but I'm about to do that. We're going through some branding questions and things like that right now. But
now, are you bottling at home, or do you have you sourced that out to someone?
So far, I've made it all myself. When I go to the next step and start getting into the 1,000 and 2,000 bottle batches, there is a facility nearby that I can, use at the certified kitchen that's got the ability to bottle.
Yeah, that's referred to as a co-packer, right? Is that the proper term?
They do that also. They do that with oils and stuff. They do co-packing. That they would be actually cooking it in their kitchen.
Okay.
I would be, getting all the ingredients. They would be actually manufacturing it right there and bottling it. So,
Well,
probably,
have you considered Shark Tank?
I have not.
Or maybe
not
West
yet.
Texas
might be an
Investors
interesting
Club.
thing.
Have you seen West Texas Investors Club?
I have not.
Oh, you got to see this. It's on CNBC most every night. They'll show an episode of Shark Tank, and then they'll show West Texas Investors Club, and then they'll show The Profit, and then they got the Make Me a Millionaire inventor, and they intersperse these shows. But a couple of guys down in Texas, and they really have hickified these guys. Instead of the Shark Tank with the nice studio, they meet in the barn, and then they've got their mentor, I forget his name, older gentleman on a cane with a long white beard. He goes to the small airport there, wherever it is they're located, and picks up the unsuspecting entrepreneur who has flown in, the inventor who has come up with an idea. And now these guys are billionaires. They made money, they owned a bunch of land, and they struck oil, and they've done all other kinds of things, and so they're billionaires, and so they just have fun parading these people through the barn, and they give them their pitch, and if they need $50,000 or $75,000 or $100,000, it's like, it's at this point it's walking around money for these guys. But they're in blue jeans.
Yeah.
The one guy's always got the same shirt on. He's always got the same stubby little cigar clenched between his teeth, and they're a hoot. And I think it was designed to be a hoot. But they actually do give people money. And I'm sure they got a website, West Texas Investors Club, WTIC.
I will definitely. I will definitely watch that. I don't watch a ton of television, which is probably why I haven't heard of that. But I will definitely watch.
It's on CNBC.
West Texas Investors Club.
Yeah, on CNBC. They do the trading floor and the whole thing in the daytime with the stock ticker at the bottom, but at night they've been creating some of their own programming, and this is one that they created. And they did one of the shows I've seen. They actually funded a guy who had a barbecue sauce. Let me just real quick. I know you can't see my screen, but for the benefit of the many who can, let's see. I don't know how you spell barbecue sauce. I'll go barbecue.
BARBEQUE.
West Texas Investors Club. What do we got? West Texas Investors Club. Okay. Official site. So this should tell. I just want to get the name of the barbecue sauce. This guy, supposedly, the reason they invested in him is that he's like an internet or a YouTube star.
Okay.
Here's the investors: Mike Rooster McConaughey, who is that actor McConaughey's brother, cousin, dad, I don't know.
Oh, he's related to Matthew McConaughey. Okay.
Wayne Butch Gilliam and Gil Prather. I don't think Gil's got any money, but they consider him their mentor. And
I see.
These are the two characters, and I thought I might see the one about the showdown at Pie Noon. That's not it. Oh, here we go. A Time to Grill. Now, this was interesting because the guy comes with barbecue sauce. He's like a big deal on YouTube. A YouTube star pitches Rooster and Butch what he claims is the world's best barbecue sauce. And so in the town square, they throw a big barbecue. They figure, what better way to have this gentleman showcase his barbecue sauce that's made him so famous on YouTube than to have a barbecue in this small town in the center of town, only to find out on the day of the barbecue that this guy doesn't know how to barbecue. He makes this barbecue sauce, but yet he's never actually barbecued anything. And so in the closing moments of the show, they kind of get into a bit of a tussle over, this guy's got an attitude, but yet he's got, I don't know how many followers on YouTube, but it's a huge number of people. And so they said, well, look, the sauce, it's okay, but we're going to invest in you as a person and a personality because you got all these followers. And so the other day they bought their first app, which had something to do with getting drinks. When you go to a bar, it gets your drink to the table quicker, and the owner of the bar can turn over tables quicker. And it's an interesting show, tongue-in-cheek, interesting, but actual people do get their dreams, like hot sauce, funded. What's the name of your sauce?
It's called Got's Issues Gourmet Chipotle Sauce.
That's right, Got's Issues. And there's a picture of you on the label?
There's a picture of me on the label having a sleep study about 25 years ago. And it's a silly picture. So it's silly, it's whimsical, but it's the best sauce there is. And I say that with all humility. It really is good sauce. Anybody that has it, I know that from hearing from everyone who's had it, how much they love it and how much they want more immediately. So I can barely make it fast enough. It's
wow.
It's
that's one of the questions they always ask in the Shark Tank. Whatever store, if you've got it in one store or 1,000 stores, the next question is, have they reordered? And that's a big, with Shark Tank, they're much more officious in how they determine the worthiness of this investment. But really, on the West Texas Investors Club, they're investing. It's got to be a decent product, but they're really investing more in the people behind the product than the product itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, do you have any final thing you want to throw in here, because we're limited on time here?
Yeah, I'll let you guys get back to what you're doing. I appreciate you having me on. I wanted to just read a quick quote from Abraham Lincoln, who I've always loved this quote of his, and it relates directly to the subject of mediation and kind of underscores what I'm about in this. He says, "Discourage litigation. Persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has superior opportunity of being a good man. There will still be business enough." And that's a wonderful quote, and frankly, I wish everybody else in my profession would read that to themselves every morning when they wake up. But that one sticks with me. So I'm all about giving people the opportunity to have control in crafting an outcome for themselves that they can live with. And that's a lot better than handing all that control away to 12 people you don't know. So www.chrisolsonlaw.com, and I'm there.
All right,
Thank
beautiful,
you very
Chris.
much, you guys.
Thank you for coming on. It was great. Great to hear
Thanks
from you.
so much, Chris.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, see ya. All right, Chris Olson. When you're in a gurney, you need an attorney.
The place where you can not only get financial advice, but really good hot sauce.
Really good hot sauce. So I've got a few more minutes here, Dwayne. We're checking out the market. The S&P has advanced a little further here. We do have, you can see it's kind of a trend day up now. They've made new highs in the last 2 hours. We've made a high now, 68.50. The market's in a pretty good position here, and the volatility we're going to experience when the Fed announcement comes out on Thursday is going to be strong enough, I think, to keep the market active all the way through the following week and probably the week after that as well, because that's the nature of this decision. Even if the decision has no new information, even if it's just nope, everything's going to be the same. But I think one last thing I was going to say is that it's a better idea to get it done this year. This was, again, Burwell brought this up, which I think is a very great insight, which it's better to get it done this year than it is to get it done next year, because whichever party's in control, which currently is the Democrats, they don't want to be on record on the presidential year of raising interest rates. So it probably serves them better to do it earlier than it does to do it later, which would be perhaps into next year. So this Thursday should be very interesting and very impressive, I think. And Dwayne, I have a couple of charts I can show.
Did I understand David to mean that he's predicting higher ES prices after the Fed announcement on Thursday? That's from Han.
No. What you are hearing is that the market this morning, by getting above certain levels, got into a much stronger position, and that position, especially if we close well today, in spite of the Fed announcement, would indicate higher prices. So it's not because of the Fed announcement, it's in spite of the Fed announcement. We believe that with the market remaining in a strong position, that the market's actually getting stronger as it's going higher right now. This is another reason why I've warned people about overbought and oversold, because it doesn't detect that the market's getting stronger. It just knows what it knows, which is that a certain amount of movement has happened, and on that time frame that it's being looked at, it looks like it's overbought or oversold. So you have to be careful with that. So no, I'm not referring to the Fed announcement causing it. I'm saying this would be a forecast. What we gave out over the last couple of days for the market on the upside in a report is there in spite of the Fed announcement. So I just think that after the Fed announcement, the volatility, which is somewhat small now, is going to return very nicely, and we're going to be able to do something with this market. It'll be a lot busier than it is now. Let's just put it that way.
David phrases it a little differently. In terms of your call from a few weeks ago on the down market for 3 years, is this just a short-term rally?
Yes. As it stands right now, this is definitely a very important juncture that was reached on the downside. Those of you that are coming to the Square seminar, by the way, you'll see the exact square that the market hit that on the downside that prompted the turn, along with the fact that we have a monthly and quarterly bottom. This is the value of that reflected wave, is in knowing that. So we would normally have a pretty good bounce, and that's what this is indicative of. What we're really talking about on the yearly is that, and this is a good question, yes, we are expecting the market potentially to go higher if we continue to close well, but that doesn't change the bigger factor that this year, the year of 2015, we do expect a very important top to get put in. And I do want to remind people that Dwayne had a guest on that had the Shemia, the Shemata, whatever the word is, the 7-year Jewish cycle, that allows for a period of maybe 15, 18 days after that, as if I understand it correctly, where something could still happen. Not that I'm just only bringing that up because it was of interest to me to listen to that. And I think I remember something like that going on. We don't have a forecast for that other than the big forecast for the yearly top and a multi-year decline. So, Dwayne, I have a few minutes left here. If I can show a couple charts, I will, and then I'll get out. And we'll, thank you. These are real brief because it's been slower this week. The markets have been quieter and so on. So here we go. So I'll just pop these in. This is on the right here. This is this morning. We had a post that indicated that the market would advance from the 1953 level up to 1958 to 59. They did that, and they got up to 61, and they sold off, and now we're moving higher. We had people hold any remaining position for a possible test or attempt at 65, 66. That happened, and we're above that level now. So we had a nice, for a quiet day, it was a decent trade, primarily, though, because we could read that it was likely a trend day, like I mentioned earlier. So we're seeing higher prices coming. Behind that, we have Monday's, the S&P is attempting 1947, 46, and then 44 to 43. We were at 1950 at the time, a very similar kind of number of points here. The market did decline to 1944 to 43 right here. It got down to 42.50 before bouncing and going lower. This was also on Monday. The S&P should test 1936, 35. This was right after this decline on the right. We indicated that further decline was indicated. We did have a decent bounce in between of about 6.5 points, and then the market went down and got down to 1936.35. This is incorrect, that number, but it got down to 1936.50. And then over here on the left here, we have the October crude, which we put out yesterday for people to buy any hourly close above $44.45, and take initial exit at $44.90. So this was the first close above 44.45. This is just a mechanical way to get in, rather than saying buy the silly thing. And then the market did have a little sachet down, and the market today went up to 45.03, and that completed the 44.90 initial upside target. Of course, we use stops in all this, and if our position were to get stopped out, fair enough, if any remaining position does. But the goal is to get the initial move out and trade to the important targets that we think are likely to come. And so I have a little more, but I'll save it for tomorrow. I am anxious to see how the market handles itself today, Dwayne, with regard to the close. And hopefully we'll see some very important and even possibly historic action in the market. Not historic like we're going to crash or something, but just the fact that they may raise the interest rates after 9 years. Even if they do it by the tiniest amount, 1/8 of a point, they probably would do a quarter. That's a big deal, and it kind of throws the gauntlet down and says we're now in the run back up to higher interest rates. That's really what that says, and that changes the reality.
So, do you think there's Connie wants to know if you think there's a weekly top in the S&P this week?
I don't know right now, Connie. Ask me tomorrow. I'll have a little more time. I can go into that with you. Unfortunately, I have something at 10:45 here that I have to go to. Excuse me, our time. Yeah, it is 10:45. So,
gotcha.
Well, very good. Well, thanks for having me on. I hope Chris Olson was interesting. Once in a while, we like to have him on. Sometimes people are going through things, they don't know all their options, and there you are. So, Dwayne, thanks for having me, and I'll see you here tomorrow.
David, sounds good. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks again. You too. Bye-bye.
Jonathan, who's normally with us on Tuesday, won't be with us today. He had something come up at one of his retail stores here in Phoenix. Yesterday, Garrett was going to be out, but then he popped in. Jonathan's out, but he gave me early notice. I don't think he'll be popping in. So, where did we leave off on the alerts? We left off on the Russell. So let's go back there. We just took a little peek at it. Okay. So the Russell, the weekly trade, or not the weekly, but the overnight trade alert for the Russell, long above 1153. All right. And so 53, well, it's right there. It's not too hard to find. 53. Okay, so we put in a swing high at 58.30, so that's 53 ticks. How many ticks do you need to make your daily goal if you're trading the 24/20 blueprint? The answer, 10. You need 10 ticks. This move from 53 to 58.30, that's 53 ticks in 1 hour. Okay, but again, we just needed 10. Price then came back down, and you'll see that it got below the trigger line at 53, which reset the trade, and it popped back up and put in a high here at 55.9, so that would be 29 ticks. Then it gets back below the trigger a third time and makes it all the way up to 1158.80. And so that would be 58. This one was 53. Yeah, and that one was 58 ticks. So plenty of opportunity to get your 10 ticks for the day if you're trading the Russell. Okay. Now, there seems to be one we did not look at, because the ES, we did good. ES, we did very good. Okay. Bonds, we did well. Now we have surpassed that $1,000 per contract mark at 153.09, because 1 point in 30-year bonds is $1,000 per contract. There's 32 ticks to a point. So from 154.09 to 153.09, right there. That's 1,000. Now, should it continue down and hit 152.09, that makes 2,000. Okay. Now ask yourself if you want to be a swing trader, and people tend to vacillate. Even folks that have been around trading for quite a while. You know, do I want to be a short-term guy, clip my points for the day, increase my number of contracts, be flat at the close, sleep well? Or do I want to be the guy that stakes a position with a much larger stop, and I check in on my positions periodically, maybe once or twice a day, to see how they're doing? Well, as long as they continue to move in your favor, in your direction, then that's pretty smooth. But what if you suddenly checked back next hour and you were close to break even? Now, if you are trading multiple contracts and you've shed some contracts on the way down, generating profit on the way down, it's always easier to sell the market when it's falling with stocks. It's easier to sell on the way up. Think about that, okay? So if you are shedding contracts on the way down, depending upon whatever number it is that you're trading, and perhaps by this point you've actually taken your original stop, okay, which if you're swinging for the fences, which is really not what we're about and what we teach, but if you are, realistically, where does your stop loss need to be? Right there. A couple ticks above that. What's the swing high here? 155. 10. So you might not have to go. Yeah, 155.13. That's 3 ticks above that swing high. And what I like about this is that when price ran up, see how it was rejected? Okay. And now sellers have had a party. And so getting your stop to break even, well, at least, you know, you could start to move your stop down. And I would like to think that at least by this point, you get a tick ahead of break even and you've shed some contracts on the way down. Now that's a beautiful way to trade. Does it always work out that well? Well, now this of course looks like the picture perfect spot, but then you got this, right? What if price runs to there and turns back down? Keep in mind, when it runs up, it may not turn back down. It might keep running. You could be on the wrong side of the trade. And there's nothing wrong with getting stopped out. Either you get stopped out to protect yourself from further losses, or you get stopped out so that you can take your profits. So when you look at it in that light, getting stopped out, not a bad thing. It either pays you or it protects you. Pays you or protects you. Both a good thing. Okay? So, but that's where we are based upon the alert for bonds. We covered crude oil. We put in a swing high up at 45.03, off of an alert at 44.45. Soybeans, I always tell you, November, the kindest beans of all. We had an opportunity at 3 cents on the short side and 4.5 cents on the upside. Okay? So whichever way you went with beans, you did good. The Dow, we already looked at that, and the entry there to be long was 16,320, and we're now at 16,500. That's 180 points, 193 points that we've climbed at $5 per point. The Dow YM pays $5 per point. There's no ticks, just points, $5 per point. That's on the Emini Dow, okay? The one we trade, the one you'll see traded in most places. And what a beautiful move from this zone to this zone, and again, these are last week's zones, okay? In fact, it's time to get rid of those, because they will just end up confusing folks. What happened to Peter Elliott? We just haven't put together a time. Garrett says that he's excited to come on the show. He's looking forward to it. We just have to establish a solid date, a solid time, and then nobody has to get busy, and we have to all show up. So he's still coming, Jim. That's the deal. He committed to coming, so I assume that since he committed, he will come. 165.13. So we've gone from 16. Now remember, in the first hour that it triggered, we went up 20 points. 20 points, that's $100 per contract per day. That covers your 24/20 blueprint trade. If that's what you took and that's what you did and that's all you did, do not feel bad over this, okay? The bonds we covered, the Russell we covered, gave us two opportunities from 53 up as high as 58.80. A couple more ticks would have been 59. That would have been 60 ticks. We only need 10. Let's see, the only thing not showing here is the 6E right there. We haven't looked at the 6E. Okay, so the alerts went out last night, 2100 hours. Come on. One more. All right. Actually went out at 8:30, so I'll count it at 9/2100. So that's 30 minutes for everybody to get their email and figure out what they're going to do. So the euro long above 11,350, which did not trigger, but look how close it came. 11,348. We see that a lot. Okay. Why? Because again, it's my very best long trade and my very best short trade. So whatever the market does, you've got my two best trades in each of the 8 markets that we send out the alerts for. Now on the short side of the euro, it was short below 11,320. And that's going to be the messy one of the day, it looks like. Let's take a peek. $11,320. All right, so the first hour it dropped to 11,303. So that's 17 ticks. We need 8. Euro pays 12.50 per tick, so we only need 8 ticks. Then it came back, and again, these important prices, important areas, They often get revisited, but then you get this sometimes, okay? This is the only one we've seen it in today. Crude a little bit, but each time you get below, that's a trigger, which is why I've said from the beginning, your best bet is to overlay the CFRN indicator set with your zones and look for the opportunity that gives you a short trade into the zone or a long trade not into the zone but into the alert. Oftentimes it either gives you a head start on the trade, or often it will give you your points for the day before or as you hit the alert, at which point you can then make a decision to trail your stop and stay with the trade. Okay. Now the alert again was 11,320, and we've put in a low at 11,276. We'll call it 80. So at about a 40 tick drop altogether. But we only need 8 because the euro, like the S&P and soybeans, pays $12.50 per tick. All right. So that covers it. That does it for this day. We got up to 1968. Look at that. It went 2 ticks over the line and backed off. Now that'll happen. Okay. So if you're using just a 2-tick stop, you got stopped out of this trade. 68 triggered you in, and 66 stopped you out. That's something you have to get used to. You have to embrace that. You have to be okay with getting stopped out, because if you can't be okay with getting stopped out, and Mark Douglas taught this over and over, every time he spoke, every time he wrote, getting stopped out is part of the business. It's a cost of doing business. It's like your inventory, and you're going to have to pay the price and pay it graciously. If every stop out sends you running back to the drawing board to create a better animal, right? It's an endless loop. You'll be chasing your tail forever, and when you catch it, it's no fun. This is why no one trade defines you. The next trade, whether it's profitable or unprofitable, is simply a trade in a series of trades. Now, if we go up and break 1980 again, what are my thoughts on that? We got 68.50. If we go up and break 68 again, am I more encouraged or less encouraged to take the trade? Well, I'm willing to take another shot. Why? Because it's another trade. And that's all it is another trade. Now, for those of you that want something, and like, wow, 68, I got burned, don't think like that, then you might feel better with 74 to 76. Okay? You don't have much to get in your way there. 74 to 76, that's a pretty clean little trade. You might even get 77, 74 to 77. Okay? For now, we'll leave it official as 68. All right? That's going to do it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Hey, trader, what if I told you there was an indicator set that worked well in all markets, from gold to soybeans to E-minis? What if I told you it worked well across all time frames? Would you believe me? You don't have to. Test drive our platform and indicators with live data for a full week and see how CFRN can change your trading forever. No strings attached, no credit card required. Get started today at www.cfrn.net.